Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Josh Parnell. And before we get started, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do all the things you need to on social media to help this podcast impact people and build leaders just like the one I have sitting in front of me today. Not literally, but figuratively, because I'm speaking through a Zoom screen to my main man, my friend. He's a shop owner out of, you tell me, but it's in Pennsylvania. You're going to tell me exactly where it's at. But the shop owner of Limitless Auto Center. Love the name for reasons that are obvious, but Josiah Martin, man, thank you for being here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. And yes, Limitless Auto Center in Ole, Pennsylvania.
Ole, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, go ahead.
I was going to say most people get it wrong when they see the spelling. We often get Ole or nobody knows how to spell it, but
gotcha.
It's good.
Well, Josiah, man, I'm glad we get to do this. You and I have been talking about this for a while, and so we finally get to sit down and have a conversation. We were able to meet in person last year at the Tools Conference, which, by the way, is coming up. In fact, as I'm sharing this, I'm realizing now I'm going to have to put this episode before Tools is coming up because anyway, Tools is coming up. It's going to be at the end of April this year in Hershey, Pennsylvania. So if you don't have tickets for it yet, if you haven't registered for Tools, now's the time to do so. You will probably see Josiah. Will you be there this year?
I plan to be there, Lord willing. I'll be there with my whole team. So
okay, excellent. Yeah, and so your team was there with you last year as well, and you and I've been following each other on social media for a minute. I think I first came across you on social media because I saw the name Limitless, and I'm like, I got to meet this guy. So if you would, share with our audience who you are, what you do, how you do it, and how Limitless came to be part of be the name of your shop. Automotive believes great shops deserve great technicians, and they built a recruiting model designed specifically to deliver that. Their team understands today's technician landscape and the challenges shops face trying to hire in a tight labor market. Automotive manages the entire recruiting effort from start to finish. They source talent proactively, qualify candidates with intention, and maintain clear communication with both sides. Shops get a faster process, better alignment, and far fewer surprises. Shops rely on Automotive because they're not a job board or a software tool. They're real recruiting partners who show up and follow through. Their focus is on long-term success, not short-term transactions. To connect with them or begin your next search, visit gopromotive.com. Book a call, start a search, and see how Automotive helps build stronger teams. It's no secret in our industry that speed of service sells. As our world moves faster, instant gratification isn't a want, it's an expectation. It's proven that the faster you communicate with your guest after they hand over their keys, the higher your close ratio and ARO is. This critical window is called your golden hour. And let's be real, it's hard to achieve when you're buried in essential tasks. That's where Golden Hour Garage comes in. By partnering with their team of industry professionals across the U.S., you can truly own your golden hour. Golden Hour provides a virtual estimate building, extended warranty, fleet claim processing, loaner advisors, and hands-on partner support, so your team can focus on the guest experience and profit growth. Book a discovery call today. Limitless Leadership listeners receive 10% off their first 3 months.
Sure. So I don't even know where to start to introduce myself. I guess I'm a father, a husband, a business owner. It really has been a journey as a business owner because when I first started out, I assumed it was just fixing cars and dealing with customers. And then there's this thing called leadership that I had to learn. And that's been a journey. And my friend and I from back, for long time friend. I think we've been friends for easily 15 years now. He reached out one day with a business that was for sale and said, "Hey, I know you're considering something else. Would you consider going into partnership with me and buy this business?" And thought about it for a little bit. It all worked out. And we were thinking about a name because most shops out there are just some form of the owner's names and auto repair or then the location in auto repair. And we both said, well, we know we may not be here the whole time. We may not be in Ole. We may move. One of us may leave and buy the other one out. And so why pick a name that's going to tie us to one area? We want a name that encompasses everything. And we are also, my business partner is very interested in performance. We were dreaming big back when we were 25 and thinking that we can do it all, and thought maybe we'd start some performance portion to the business. And so we were going through names like what portrays that, and we fell on Limitless Auto Center.
That's awesome. Awesome. Well, I mean, obviously, I love Limitless because that's the name of my company as well, Limitless Leadership, and we get the opportunity and privilege to serve an incredible industry of folks like yourself, Josiah, who also get into business ownership and they realize, hey, there's a leadership side to this that maybe I wasn't coached on, or maybe I wasn't trained on, maybe I don't have a lot of experience in. And that's really where Limitless Leadership falls into place for a lot of fantastic individuals in this industry. What got you into this industry, and talk about your journey into business ownership as well? That must have been a pretty big step of faith or leap of faith for you, I'd imagine.
Leading a shop can be isolating, especially when you're trying to grow and still take care of your people. Tectonic 2026 brings together shop teams who care about the same things you hear on this podcast: coaching, accountability, training, and building leaders at every level. Expect hands-on workshops, role-based sessions, and honest conversations you can take back to the shop on Monday. Tectonic is happening April 9th through the 11th in Houston, Texas. Tickets are on sale now, and Limitless Leadership podcast listeners can get $500 off standard pricing with code LIMITLESS500. Go to techmetric.com/tectonic. That's TEKTONIC, or use the link in the show notes.
All right, folks. As you know, great leadership isn't about doing everything the best. It's actually about having the right partners in your corner to build your shop's success. It's about putting the right team in place. It's about choosing the right vendors to make you a pro, making pro moves. And when I think about the pros, I think about shop marketing pros. The know, like, and trust factor, that's a real thing. And Shop Marketing Pros understands that. That's why I want to recommend Shop Marketing Pros to become your marketing partner in your shop. They get to know, like, and trust you and your business to then help your audience get to know, like, and trust you too, and bring your shop to the next level. So when I talk about making pro moves, this is the kind of move I'm talking about. This is the kind of standard-setting partnership that's going to elevate your shop. So if you're ready to become a pro in your shop, visit shopmarketingpros.com and partner with the best.
Yeah, so I started in the industry when I'm just 16, and I started rebuilding starters and alternators at a small shop, and started teaching me other things like vehicle electronics, and had to learn how electronics worked. And a couple years into that, I got tired of the monotony. It was just the same thing every day, all day. Mm-hmm. And my brother-in-law worked at an independent repair shop, said, hey, we're hiring. So I put in a application, got hired, and probably one of the best mentors to date was that my employer at that time. He did very well at recognizing you, calling out where your strengths, and encouraging that. Mm-hmm. And he, about a year and a half into it, they needed somebody on the front counter, and me being outgoing, he said, hey, I think you'd fit. So we moved me to the front counter, and with that, he started teaching me the books. Like, hey, I want you to balance the QuickBooks. I want you to make sure everything's holding out, print out checks, pay the bills. And so I started seeing the business side of it. So me being naive was like, well, I know how to fix cars. I know how to balance the books and run the books. I can run a business. So that I thought I was set up for it. I really did. I thought I had the world by the tail, and it was going to be my oyster. And it worked out fairly well for the first bit. And then we hired somebody, and we hired another person, and just started having employee issues. Nothing that nobody else deals with. It's just, what comes with having employees.
Yeah. It's the normal challenges that we encounter on a day-to-day basis, right?
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
Looking at the time, I thought it was absolutely crazy, or this was something totally unexpected. Now looking back, I was just unprepared for that side of it.
Yep.
And probably July of 23, Parnell and I sat down one day, and it was a rough week. It was one of those weeks where you were contemplating, as I would joke, throwing the keys on the roof and letting the bank and the taxman fight for who gets it.
Yeah.
And we sat down and said, why are we doing this? Like, why? There's not that much money left over after we're done paying everybody, paying the bills, doing the upgrades. We have a lot of upgrades we want to do. So the business we bought was in business since the 60s, and it had an established customer base, but the brothers that owned it weren't keeping it up to date, if that makes sense. It was the tools weren't bad, it just wasn't. The scan tool was old. They didn't have all the latest stuff, so it was a lot of updates that needed to happen. And I know I stumbled across a Change in the Industry podcast, and through that I was like, I really think I need coaching. And we were talking about it more and more. Went to Super Saturday, and Parnell met Rick White at Super Saturday, and he's like, hey, I really like that class. So sat down, talked to Rick, and we ended up signing up, and that was the start.
Love that. And so Rick is a friend of the podcast. He's a friend of ours, Rick White with 180 Biz. Shout out to you, my friend. He's an incredible influencer, incredible coach, and an incredible friend for that matter in this industry. And so, shout out to Rick. Josiah, you mentioned something that's really important, and that is you had an employer years ago recognize you. There's power in recognition. There's power in encouragement. There's power in motivating and inspiring. There's power in finding people's strengths, helping them tap into unrecognized potential to achieve limitless results. And he saw something in you. He called it out in you. And it's really not even calling out. It's calling you up. Accountability is not calling you out. Accountability is calling you up. He sees something in you and he recognizes you. And I believe that recognition is the biggest ROI in leadership. I think a lot of us as leaders, we're really great at reprimanding, but not necessarily recognizing. Like it's easy for us to find what someone's not doing well, to find out all the things they're doing wrong, for lack of better terms. But are we actually highlighting and honoring them and calling out in a good way the things they're doing really well, like being able to identify strengths? I'll ask you, how did that employer and his recognition of you impact and change the way that you lead your team today?
So that is a great question. One thing, it definitely made me more aware that I need to recognize my team. I need to be very graceful. He was very graceful with me. So that means when I made mistakes, it was always all right, you made a mistake. Let's learn from it. Let's move on. And I guess he really taught me what it meant for a leader to be invested in my life. So when we lead somebody else, I don't think we can lead them well if we're not invested in them. It's not about too often. I feel like where businesses go wrong, where people get burned out in the corporate world and all that, it's because it's almost a machine that's designed to extract the most out of everybody for the business. And I think it needs to be a win-win both ways. You need to be able to provide for your team what they need so they can give you what you need.
That's good. That's
he
powerful.
did that very well.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, let's talk about leadership. I mean, obviously there's a leadership podcast. If I were to ask you to define this question, what does leadership mean to you in your own words, how would you answer that question?
I think it's being an example of what you're living, the example, and calling others to follow your example into the life that you see that they're capable of.
Okay. How has your definition of leadership, your thoughts on leadership, how has it helped your business partnership with Parnell? And am I saying his name? I know I met him about a year ago. Okay.
You're correct.
Shout out Parnell. I remember you, man. So how has it helped your partnership with Parnell? But also, what are some ways that you guys have been able to work through the challenges of maybe not seeing eye to eye on something, or maybe there's, you disagree on something, but you and I both know, Josiah, that we can disagree without being disagreeable, and we get to talk through this talk to us about that.
Yeah. So how has it helped? I guess it's helped because I'm trying to put this into words. Partnership, a business partnership isn't much different than a marriage, other than, the obvious.
Yeah.
So you're doing money together, you're talking, you got to communicate, and so often you expect your partner to take the lead and discuss something, and if they're not, and you recognize it, you need to take that lead. And that's one of the things that I had to learn after realizing that, okay, if there's something I'm seeing that I want to get to have discussed, I need to bring it up and talk about it. I'm sorry. The question was, how has my vision of leadership helped?
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, basically, you have your own thoughts on leadership, and I'm sure they're very similar to the way Parnell thinks about leadership. So I'm curious, how has it helped your business partnership, but also because of your knowledge in leadership and the things that you continue to learn, how have y'all been able to navigate the inevitable challenges? Because I like that you highlighted the fact that it's really it's not much different than a marriage besides the obvious, but in a marriage, just like at work, communication is often the biggest pain point or biggest opportunity area. I'm curious, how have you guys been able to, over the years, learn how to navigate these things with each other and not against each other?
Yeah. So I guess the biggest thing that we do is we came to the agreement, like, if one of us is frustrated with something that the other person is doing, we talk about it. We don't hide it. We don't let it fester, because it's not going to benefit anybody by just letting it fester. The other thing, I was proactive. So we sat down with a lawyer and drew up a partnership agreement that said, hey, if we ever do fight, here's how it's going to happen. Here's what it's going to do. If there's ever a time when something goes sour and one of us wants to force the other partner out, here's the process that they have to take. Here's what it's going to look like. And so it gives each of us a way of, I guess, making sure it provides a safe fall, so it doesn't just completely burn down the business, because nobody wins in that. The other thing we did, even from the start, was when we paid ourselves a set hourly rate with overtime from the start, because we recognized that one area that partnerships struggle in is if they're paid salary or just 50-50 of whatever's left over. If one of the partners is putting in 60 hours a week and the other person's putting in 30, there's a lot of tension from that. And we said, hey, we want to pay ourselves for what we're doing, and then whatever is left over after that is what we split.
Let me ask you this, because as you are building a business and you're scaling and growing the way that you guys do, you're getting paid for the hours that you work, and of course production is coming from those hours. But with business ownership, there's also the work that happens before and after the work. It's the behind the scenes stuff. It's the early mornings, it's the late nights. How do you guys divide and conquer?
That's a great question, and I don't think we do it well in the divide and conquer part, because I do most of the I think Parnell would agree on this. I should say that before I say that. I do most of the business leadership. I do most of the thinking. I'm the one that's listening to the podcast. I'm the one that's leading. Where he does a lot of the day-to-day in the shop side of it. And he does a lot of the. I will say one thing that I've recognized he's really good at is just taking the lead on any projects around the place. So, the stone parking lot's looking bad. He sets up getting extra millings. Just, it all happens, and it just happens. And that's one area that he's just great at. And I appreciate it, because that's an area I'll get to it, but it might be, you don't have to remind me every 6 months.
Sure.
I'll get to it.
Yeah. Great answer. Well, so let me ask you this too, and I want to make sure that I'm respectful of the boundaries that you may have on this, but I know that last year especially posed a lot of personal challenges for you, and with respect to that situation, the question I'm trying to ask, without, although I'm beating around the bush, is how.
Just, you can say.
Well, and that's the thing. I don't know how comfortable you are with sharing this, but if you're okay with it, share with the audience, the kind of what you went through and what your family went through ultimately, and because, man, you are leading amidst incredible challenges, and I want to commend you first and foremost, and the audience will hear what I'm referring to. But man, you're a testament to what a great leader looks like, and also a great father and great husband. But it's really, I'll just say it because you're about to tell the story. Your son has a testimony that you've been able to walk alongside him in. If you would share that, and again, with respect to the boundaries that you may have around it.
Yeah. Well, thank you. First of all, I should be blushing. That's a very high praise call on the testament to leadership and all that. So my son was born with a genetic disease that the really only way to treat it is a liver transplant. So I actually have 2 children with that. My oldest went through it in 2020, and our youngest just had a liver transplant in June. And during that time, we were the place that we get it done is in Pittsburgh, which is about 4.5 hours from where we live. So I was fully remote for a little over 2 months. And I knew this was coming. We knew even before he was born that this was going to happen. And he was about 20 months old when this surgery happened. With that focus in mind, we'd put effort into setting the business up so I didn't need to be there every day. Mm-hmm. And July was the first month that I was not there, full month. And it was the best month to date at that time. So yeah, it was that was huge. It was a blessing. It was a sign that, all the prayers of, hey, God, just please let the business function, because I'm going to be living without an income for 2 months. I need some form of income.
Yeah.
And that happened. And Parnell through that time was obviously leading. We would talk back and forth. We would talk about, hey, is there anything you're struggling with? And the whole team stepped up. Honestly, I think when you present a challenge like that, your team wants a challenge. They want to step out, and they want to show you what they're capable of. Too often we're not giving them that. And they stepped up to the challenge, and it went great.
When the pressure's on, we don't rise to the occasion. We fall to our highest level of preparation. And it's very evident that you and Parnell prepared for, you knew it was coming. You prepared for this. You guys compartmentalized, you time blocked, you set and kept boundaries that are necessary to make sure that everyone is staying in their lane, but also helping others when necessary and when able to, so that you guys can not just survive, but you can thrive, like the month that you had in July. So, man, props to you, kudos to you, and shout out to you, Parnell, for leading the charge when Josiah is obviously taking care of family. That's incredible. You mentioned, and by the way, thank you for sharing that as well, Josiah. You mentioned Rick White earlier. Rick White, I know, is an incredible mentor for a lot of folks in this industry. I will ask you, what is the best advice that you've ever received from a coach or a mentor? Whether it's Rick or not, what is the best advice you've ever received from a coach or a mentor?
So I struggle with perfectionism. I believe that I need to be perfect. And this actually comes from Tom Shearer. I don't know where he heard it. I'm sure he heard it from somebody. And one day when I was really battling with something that wasn't perfect, he said, well, there was only one perfect man that ever walked the earth, and look at what they did to him. And that has stuck. And it's something that I say a lot to this day when I'm struggling with something that's not perfect.
Man, that is powerful. Haters are going to hate. Like, there's always people are not always going to agree with you, but also, we know that things are not ever going to be perfect. Perfection is reserved for God. and it's not often going to be pretty. But man, I love the fact that you brought Tom into the mix here. Tom Scherer is in my very tight circle of people who he's in my circle, and it's not everyone gets in my circle. I'll say that. Tom Scherer is in my circle, and so shout out to you, Tom, my main man. So yes. Awesome. Well, Josiah, before we go, man, anything else for the audience? Like anything message on your heart you want to share? Or anything that has been top of mind for you, or maybe something that you've learned over the years that, if I were to ask you, best advice you could give to our listening audience? What do you think?
I would say the best thing that you can do, because just coming from where I was at, is invest in yourself. Invest that time, that free time that you have, into bettering yourself. I don't know how many hours of podcasts like this one, all the other, there's great ones out there, books, you name it, that I have listened to, and that's after hours. That's on my own time. Mm-hmm. And it has helped. You will slowly get better. You will slowly become the person you're striving to be. And also it's this, as the saying goes, we I'm trying to think of it. We expect more of ourselves in a year and underestimate what we can do in a decade.
Yeah, that's good.
And that is very true too. Had you asked me, because we bought the business in 2020, had you asked me if we would be here in 6 years, I wouldn't have believed it. It's much, much better than what I would expect.
That's awesome. Good for you, man. And you absolutely deserve all the success that you guys have had and the continued success that you're going to have. So, hey, man, you got a fan in me. I'm cheering you on from the sidelines in Texas while you're in Pennsylvania doing your thing. But, man, keep on going through it and keep on growing through it. And thank you for being on the Limitless Leadership Podcast, my friend.
Thank you, Josh. It was an honor.
And thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Limitless Leadership Podcast. As you know, we look to transform our leadership skills by tapping into unrecognized potential to achieve limitless results. So thanks again, everyone. Have a great day. Don't forget to smile today. Tell your loved ones how much they mean to you. I'm Josh Parnell, reminding you to keep leading well.